All right, let's talk about heat stroke. Dude here needs a dentist. If you're following along, this will be on page 6 of your workbook in section 3F. In your Boy Scout handbook, we talk about heat exhaustion and heat stroke on pages 150 and 151. The human body is an amazing thing. It's pretty smart about certain things, even before we go to school. Being cool, for example. The body knows how to be cool even before we know how to spell cool. The body is usually about 98.6 degrees, and this is perfect temperature for humans. It can get a little bit hotter or a little bit cooler and still be fine, but the farther we move away from 98.6 degrees, the body starts to not work so well. So, we come equipped with an air conditioning system and a heating system to keep us right about 98.6 no matter what the temperature is in our environment. If things outside get too hot, the body flips on the switch and it turns on the air conditioning. Actually, it's more like a liquid cooling system because the body uses fluids like blood on the inside and sweat on the outside to keep us cool. It serves up some sweat to the surface of the skin where it knows that a cool breeze will cause sweat to evaporate. And everybody knows that when a fluid like sweat evaporates, it pulls heat away from the body. Give it a try. Spray a little water on your hand and then blow on it. It'll feel pretty cool. Do that over your whole body and things can get downright cold. That's why we always want to stay dry on camping trips. But let's get back to heat stroke. Heat stroke is actually what happens when the body's air conditioning system breaks down. Either we're running low on fluids or the body just can't compensate anymore. Maybe we've worked too hard, or we've stayed out too long in the sun, or we've prevented our air conditioner from coming on somehow, or maybe there's some kind of sickness that put our thermostat out of commission. Whatever the cause, the result is the same. Without help like first aid, the body will die. And that's where you come in. First, we have to recognize heat stroke. And most of the time when we see heat stroke, the environment will give us some clues. It may be hot outside. The person may have been working hard or hiking or playing a game. They might not have been drinking fluids, because sometimes we forget, right? People can get heat stroke without it being hot outside, but usually it's hot. If we look at them, they might seem confused. This is a sure sign that something is not right with their brain. When we touch them, they will feel hot. Their skin is normally dry. And if we check their pulse, it'll be really fast. That's faster than 100 beats per minute. And that's about the same beat that we use when we do the Staying Alive song, when we do CPR. You know, staying alive, staying alive. Read up on the differences between heat stroke and heat exhaustion in your Boy Scout handbook on pages 150 and 151. So what is first aid for heat stroke? First, call 911. This is an emergency that you could use some help with. Next, let's cool them down. Move them out of the sun and into the shade if possible. Loosen up any tight clothing. We want those fluids to be able to move. Use the cooling trick that we learned earlier. Either use wet clothes or put a wet cloth over the patient and fan it to force evaporation and to cool them down. Put ice up into their armpits and on the sides of their neck and in the groin area. Now we choose these areas because that's where the biggest blood vessels are closest to the skin. And if we cool down their blood, it will circulate through the body and cool the rest of it. Give them small amounts of water. No big gulps here. Try a big wet sheet and fan that. This really works. Of course, what works best is preventing heat stroke in the first place. So make sure that everybody stays hydrated throughout the day by drinking even before they feel thirsty. Encourage people to rest when they've worked or they've played hard, and don't overdo it in the sun. Some sun is good, but so is shade, especially on hot days. That wraps it up for heat stroke. Work on page 6 of your workbook and read your Boy Scout handbook and be prepared. I'll see you in the next module when you're ready.